Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm just checking if our audio is working real quick. Yes, all right, it's good. So let me just get things set up real quick as we get going. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm kind of taking a break from the lesson plan I've been working on. Hey Vincent, how's it going? So I'm taking a little bit of a break from the lesson plan I've been going through because I'm looking at some digital painting stuff. It's not something I can really stream very well, so I figured today I'm going to do a portrait study. So I have a photo that you can look at. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully I did that right. And if you can't see the photo reference, let me know in the chat. And so you're welcome to follow along. I will be doing this digitally, obviously. You can do whatever you want, though. Just one more second before I get started. Awesome. I have confirmation that we can indeed, you can see it. I don't know if any of you guys have Cintiq monitors, but I always clean off mine before I draw on it, just so I don't potentially like rub any dirt into it or something, or catch something that can actually scratch the surface. So I clean it off first every time. All right. At least dust it off. Something simple. All right, so it has been a little while. I've been doing research, lots of research and learning about digital painting and looking into um, better on the go solutions because I've been on the go a lot and just not I've not been able to be in a place where I could do streams or anything like that. And I still haven't found a good solution yet. Let's make sure Rebel. So I am using Rebel. If you're familiar with the channel, you should recognize that. And if you have any questions or comments, let's talk as we go through this. Okay, a quick question. So some of the questions come in through Discord. Some I'm also streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So I'm having questions from different sources here. One of the questions I just got is how long does it take to do Drawbox? That I haven't done it yet, but it's gonna take a while. Drawbox is my next thing that I'm gonna be doing. So I have absolutely not done like any of it, but I'm super excited. And that's where I'm doing all these things before I get to do Drawbox. I'm doing like this kind of digital painting refresher stuff, which for the most part, I kind of already am pretty good with. Like I'm not really learning a whole bunch new, but there's still nuggets that you pick up from listening to people, better, more experienced than you. So it's still worth going through the process of the classes. All right, this is going to be a little bit of an experiment with Rebel. Hmm. Yeah, I Drawbox. So some people take 5 months, some people take a year to 2 years. Yeah, that's going to depend on how hardcore you hit it, and maybe how fast you actually understand the topics. Because if you can get it the first time and get it real quick, maybe you go through it faster. Maybe you have to do it a few times to actually really have all the knowledge sink in. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to start laying this in. So this is my first real portrait using Rebel. So hopefully, well, we'll see how it goes. Normally I would use Clip Studio, which I would feel much more confident doing because I have a brush that I absolutely love. But I want to try this out. So we're going to just have some fun with it. I want to, oh, what's going on? Turn off my touch so I don't mess anything up here. Okay, let's get the center line if we can. Oh, let's keep it black and white. So right now I'm just using an oil brush, and we'll see. I might switch to some other kind of brush, but for now, I just want to, actually, maybe I'll use pencil. Should I use pencil? Something like that. Or something like this with nice blending attributes. I think I'm going to go with oil. Let's delete that. Let's just see. Any tips on how to copy a reference exactly? Any tips or solutions? Okay. That's a good question. So that is something that we can kind of go through a little bit with this portrait study because there's a lot of ways to check it. And a lot of it comes back to measuring your references, like double checking and so yeah, have you okay, well, there's a comment on Discord to look at the David Finch copying reference video, which is good. I think his is slightly different though. I believe, if I remember correctly, I'm like trying to blend nothing here. I believe that the video from Finch is kind of advising how to copy reference for your own like artwork as opposed to trying to do an exact study. So it depends on what your purpose is. If you're trying to do a study, then it's just a little bit different. You want to do lots of measuring and stuff and double check that you have the right proportions, and you can compare things. You can look at um, different pieces of the image. I'm trying to think of the right word here, like the negative shapes and the positive shapes. Like you could start with this portrait here. You could start with the hair on the top left, and you'd be like, well, there's a negative shape of like a triangle. You could put that in first if you want to. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on the features first. Let's undo that. But you're always checking. So if you watch the stream, you'll see how I'm constantly checking back to the reference to see am I getting it right. Okay, so this is about, I'm trying to look at the center line right now. So this is like going like right down her nose, like right down from the top of the forehead down to the chin. And I'm gonna roughly pick where the eyes are at. And I'm gonna look at the angle of the eyes. So this is part of this looking at the reference. Well, you could even hold your hand with your pencil up to the photo, or if you were looking at something in real life, you put your arm out and like say, I can draw. I don't have a video, so I can't like. I wish I had a video on me so I could just show you. But if you were like drawing a picture, I'm not going to use oil for this. There you go. If you're like sitting here, this is you, and you have your arm out, and you're looking at whatever this object is over here. You would have your pencil in your hand, and you can measure the angle of things, visually. This you'd have to have your hand up here, huh? So you have your hand up like that. And that way you could visually measure how the exact angle something is, right? So I'm looking at this reference on this face and I'm trying to see the angle of the eyes, and I'm going to try to replicate that. on this picture best I can. Oh, did I just? There you go. Okay. Thought I broke something. So I'm really doing more of an observational study right now. I'm not so much trying to do like this constructive method of drawing the head and everything. And maybe later. For now, I'm just wanting to have some fun with this. Okay, that's approximately where the eyes are at. The brow ridge is going to be above it. And I'm gonna look at the angle that the eyebrows are at. This one angles in a little bit. And again, I'm trying to compare the angle that I'm drawing it at compared to the angle of the photograph. So this one should go higher. Now we can always adjust this as we go, because especially me, because I'm doing it digital, right? I can do all sorts of changes. But if you're doing it with a pencil, you can still change things quite a bit. Now the nose also is slightly angled. Really, it's in the line of this. It should be the same for the most part. What is the difference between copying and what's the other question? And tracing. Ooh, that's a big difference. Tracing. Okay, this would be tracing. Let me show you. This would be tracing. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it over here. Let me see. Okay, if I had this right here, this would be horrible. But like, let's say I had this on here, and I'm like, yay, what a great artist I am. I'm just going to trace. I'm going to be like, oh, there's the eye. This is tracing. You don't want to trace. I would not suggest tracing, ever. At least not for me, because I would want to learn how to do it myself. Now, it could be a good idea though. Like say once we finish the real picture, you could take the photo and overlay the two to see like how far off are you? How good did you do? Can you do it better? You can check yourself like that. But to actually sit here and do this, like, geesh, that's tracing. So I don't recommend tracing. I know some artists do. That's their prerogative. I mean, some artists recommend it, and that's their prerogative, I guess. I just don't. It is so much easier though. I mean, look at this. Bam, so fast. So fast. No, we're not doing that. Oh, let me save this so I can just have this somewhere. Where should I save this picture? Say portrait study. You guys don't get to see this image because I'm recording the actual window and not the actual entire screen. So this window doesn't show for you. Okay, just saved it. I want to see. Does that, Vincent? Does that help clarify? Like copying would be like what we're doing right now. We're copying the photo by looking at it, but we're not tracing it. It's a very big difference. And you'll see how much this like it's going to be cool once we get some more done on this. So I'm trying to do many things at once. I'm trying to go over here and look at Twitch real fast to see how do I. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, let's get back to this. Yeah, this is a very different brush than I normally use. So we'll see how well this goes. Okay, so I got the brow ridge, I got the nose. Let's get the hair. It should be approximately, roughly the same size. Yeah, it's very close. You'll notice that on portraits there are some pretty standard measurements, but at the same time, most people are ever so slightly different because everyone's unique. Sometimes they have a big forehead, so sometimes they have a short forehead, whatever. So normally this right here, this distance between the bottom of the nose and the brow ridge should be the same as between here and the hairline and between here and the bottom of the chin. That's like the standard, the standard measurements, but of course, if you're looking at a photo, you measure their actual measurements, and so it's going to be slightly different. So in this case, I think it's slightly more. So we're going to put it maybe right there. I'm literally using my hand on my screen to try to measure these things. And this is where you can't see what I'm doing. I wish you could. I need to get another camera set up. Okay, that's the hairline. We've got the brow ridge. We've got the bottom of the nose. Now let's go to the chin. This is going to be quite significantly shorter, actually. Maybe your head's... Is it just because your head's tilted? Maybe. Yeah, this is going to be different. That's going to be shorter. It's going to be like right here, maybe? What's that? Yeah, that's close. Again, we can always come back later and adjust it. I kind of want to get this overall shape now so we can start blocking things in. So again, this is more of an observational type methods. And I'm just trying to we may adjust all of this as we go. That's okay. Her hands in there is going to make it a little interesting, I think. Because hands are hard. In fact, hands and faces are hard, so we get to do both. Why not? It looks like that hair is really coming down right at the center line, huh? If you retrace that center line up. Even the center line, you'll notice. So if you were using your pencil and you were like had your arm straight out like I showed here, and you're measuring the angle, you would notice that her head is slightly tilted sideways. It's not perfectly up straight up and down. It's ever so slightly tilted. So we got some hair that comes this way, and then some other hair that comes down and crosses over this way. And now we can continue her face. And I'm paying attention to so where the bottom of the nose is compared to where these curves are in her cheek. And her cheek is curving in right here. Right now it looks like the chin's too small, but we're gonna just keep going with this and see how well it looks. For now. Okay, I want to get the nostrils, like the side of the nose in. So I'm comparing the outside of the nostril, which you can't. I wish you could see my screen. The outside of the nostril compared to the top of the eyebrow. So assuming I have this eyebrow right where it should go, Maybe I don't. I want to put this a little bit higher because you'll notice that the nose is like this. Something like, right? So this is a little bit lower. So I'm taking that into account as I'm drawing this. So I want this to be a little bit higher. That's just inside the eyebrow over here too. And that's really close to where the eye is at. Very close. I'll bring that in. That's a strong tilt to the eye. We're definitely going to have to come back and adjust some of this. So that's how I draw. Hello, artsy Bible nerd. How are you doing? We're doing a portrait study today. Yeah, you finally caught me streaming because I finally decided to stream. That's good. I'm challenging myself by doing a portrait live, of course, in Rebel, which I'm not used to. This would be seriously so much easier on Clip Studio, just because I'm used to it. That's all. Just because I'm used to it. Oh yeah, isn't that awesome? So it's a bonus because it has hands too. It's like, yeah, it's such a bonus. We get to have the joys of struggling through a portrait while we have the joys of struggling with hands. All right, so I'm trying to imagine where the pupils would be ish, which is approximately where the lips would be, maybe. And then we'll draw the mouth line. I have to I'm gonna have to be careful to make sure it doesn't look like she's smiling because she is not smiling. Right? We got to make sure we capture that emotion. That is going to be the hardest of this, I think, is to capture the emotion. If you want to, you can ignore the hands. Like focus on the face. I would. I mean, you could indicate hands are there if you don't want to draw them in, But I would not. I would focus if you have to choose. Focus on getting the emotions on here. Try to get the face to look right, and don't be afraid to change things as you go if you find out you have messed up the shape. So draw lightly if you're drawing in pencil. I have the benefit of being able to do whatever I want because I'm doing digital, but if you're not, make sure you are drawing light as you go forward with this. And you'll notice for me, it's going to start off pretty rough like it is, but it'll, as we go through here, it'll start looking nice. But we'll have to adjust things and you know, oh my gosh, this program's going to kill me as I attempt to use it. If you thought this would be simple, you was wrong. So I'm just trying to block things in. I'm trying to get the basic shapes, and then we can come in here and adjust as we need to. But I want to just like lay it out, and that way, if I am completely off, I can make some big corrections. I'm not going to worry as much about the hands either, to be honest. I want to get the face. So Vincent, this is one of those things you were asking, like how do you make sure you're doing a good study? Like for example, on the hand here, I'm looking at the bottom of her. Let me pull this up here. So I'm looking at say this point right here. Oh, let me. Okay, if you can see this, like you see this point right there on the hand, and you can see where does that line up? Now, if we go sideways, where does that line up? It should be right about the middle of the nostril, give or take. Actually, right above, like just slightly above the actual nostril itself. So, kind of in the middle of the wing, I guess. I don't know what you call that. But you're always checking little tiny, points like that. And you're seeing where does it line up, right? That's slightly above the eye. This is like right at the eyebrow. This is right above the eyebrow. And that helps you to lay it in accurately. So if the nostril is going to be about there, I haven't actually put the nostril in, so we will have to adjust this for sure later. But if that's where the nostril is, then this should be right about there. And then we'll continue with the palm. So how's your comet coming along? Awesome. Okay. 8 of 22 is pretty good. So Vincent, another example. If you look at, let me clear this layer. If you look at the edge of the eye right there, then you look at this knuckle right there, you can see there's an angle, right? So you can visually measure and see, am I drawing at the right angle there? Is because if you drew the knuckle up here, obviously that's the wrong angle. If you drew the knuckle down there, wrong angle, right? So you want to get the knuckle at a place where this angle is correct. He is doing a Bible about the favored son of Joseph. Hello, how are you? Kovia. I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. We are doing a portrait study. Koviak, is that how you say that? Welcome to the channel. Okay, let's do the same thing and see. Oh, cool. Well, we kind of just started, so you're welcome to join in. We have the photo up here so that you can jump in and get your pencils out or whatever it is that you use. Yeah, we're all on an artistic journey here, so it's fun. And right now we're at a blocking stage. We're just trying to lay things out at a good, reasonably good um, positions. There you go. So you're trying to work on your portraits. Are you new to artwork, or are you just trying to improve in that area? It's hard to see, but her finger on this other hand is actually coming up kind of similar to this one. Let's go a little bit higher. Maybe right there. I am on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Yes, because I'm not making money on Twitch, so I can do that. If I can get 50 people on Twitch, I won't be able to live stream at the same time anymore. But I figure why not stream on both? Because I have people that do watch on both, and I also have people that just comment on Discord where they watch on one of those, whatever platform they like the most, I guess. It probably would. I don't know. I debate whether it would be better to just focus on one only and just say everyone watch me in this one place. But I figure since I'm not actually making money on either one of them, I might as well just stream on both and have some fun with it. Just kind of blocking in this other hand, trying to look at where the knuckles are at. Trying to watch the angle between the nostril over here and the knuckles over here. Again, this is a very rough stage, so don't be surprised if we completely erase stuff if we have to. One of the benefits of digital. Okay, and I want to make sure this wrist doesn't get too thin. So if we look at the, see, I have a reference on the computer you guys can't see because it doesn't capture in the software. Um, but you can kind of see my hand in this area of the screen. That's my reference. The actual reference is like this big photo on my screen. Um, so I'm just trying to visualize like where the side of the cheek is. I guess I should just do this, huh? Trying to visualize where this cheek is compared to like where the wrist is at, and pay attention to that angle. So it's gonna, be at that angle roughly to see where this dip in the wrist is gonna be. So that's what I'm trying to pay attention to. No, so I'm using Rebel 5 for my painting program, and then Rebel has a reference window that I can pull up. But because this reference window is not docked, like you can see my color palette, my layers, whatever, you can see all this stuff. The color palette's not docked. It's like a floating window, and it doesn't get picked up by OBS. So I'm recording with OBS. So I'm just using the built-in reference. And the reason I'm doing it this way, the reason why OBS is only recording um, the main window for Rebel is because I have this huge 32-inch screen and I don't draw that huge. And so if I had to record the entire screen, which it could then pick up everything, right? It could pick up everything. But if I did that, I'd have to draw huge for you guys to be able to see it. Otherwise, I'd be drawing like, hey guys, I'm drawing, and I'm like full size of my screen, but it looks really tiny to you guys because it's such a big screen, and I just don't draw that big. So I'm making use of the overall window. Like, I'll show you if I can. Um, is there a way? Let me see something. Can I do this? Let me see. Oh, I can. Okay, I'm going to show you. This is like my giant screen. Just to give you a better idea of how my thing's laid out. I draw much smaller than my overall screen. It's huge. But because of that, you don't get to see that reference that's like right next to it. So I'm trying to it's a good idea if you can put your reference close to your picture so you have you can see that it's more accurate. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's just the inbuilt system. And then on the left, you can see I have a web page pulled up. So now that's a different window. And now OBS can pull up that window and show you the reference. And I pulled that in as a small little image so that you guys can follow along. So that's what's going on. Oh, hopefully there you go. Can you see that now? Yeah, that should have came up. But I hear PureRef looks awesome. And if ever I record my entire screen, I will probably start using it. It does look good. And this image is from Unsplash, which they say you have they're free images, so go use it. They're free images that you can use for commercial stuff. So if ever I make money, it's totally okay. I just can't sell the image, and that's fine. I'm not selling the photo. You can't sell the photo, but I could sell the painting I make from it. So really cool. I found that today. I'm like, what a great resource for artists. Okay, I'm definitely seeing some issues, I think, with this cheek. I'm gonna have to adjust some of the size as expected. I'm not one of those artists who can just do it perfectly the first time. but I can get a pretty good result at the end. So don't be afraid of making big changes if you need to. So I'm gonna block in the hair real quick. Now I am trying to look at the negative shapes a little bit, like the shape between the the top of the hair. Let me the shape between the top of the hair, and the corner. That's a negative shape. This is a negative shape. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And I'm still comparing things constantly. Like this. This goes down right above there. So I'm going to draw all over that thing, huh? So you want it right above the fingertips, give or take. And you also will notice that there's a kind of a dip right there where you can see the hair's parted, right? That parting's happening almost at the hairline, the top of the hairline. That's another little measurement you can take to check your work. Am I using planes? So what I'm doing on this one is very much more of an observational uh, drawing. So I'm not. I will use the various shapes, so that like the planes. Like when I come in for the nose, I'm gonna pay attention to so much easier to demonstrate with this. Like I'll be watching where the shadow is here. That's making a plane. I'll be paying attention to that as I do it. And right now, I'm not so much looking at that. I'm just trying to get the objects in roughly the place that I want them. And then as I go through the process, I'll adjust the position a little bit. Let me go ban the spam on YouTube real quick because we got spam. There you go. No more spam. Hopefully that makes sense. So yes, I will be taking into account the planes. Especially in my head, I'm definitely thinking about that. I'm just not. That's not the main focus right now. The main focus are the overall shapes of the objects, because, for example, let me come back up here again. Um, there's so many cool shapes in here that can help you to figure this out. I mean, because you have this shape on the nose, right? And that's a big shadow shape, and it goes into this shadow shape. And if you can get the shadows correct, oops, let me probably more like that. And the eyebrow. If you can get these shadow shapes correct, you'll end up with the correct drawing. Just depends on what method you want to use. So I'm not using a constructive method, which would be, um, drawing the shapes, drawing the line, go halfway. This is not. I didn't draw that very accurately, but doing that method, it's probably the way I should because that's the way I'm trying to learn it. Yes, I'm pretty sure I know the head you're talking about. I think Marco Bucci uses that in some of his videos, and the planes of the head is awesome. Um, Let me pull that up. I'm pretty sure I know. I'm pretty sure that's the head I'm thinking about. Sorrow head. Yep, that's it. I'm gonna show a picture of this for anyone who's watching. This. That's a very useful tool. Something to keep in mind while you're doing this, for sure. I haven't studied the Riley method yet, but I really want to. That's on my list. That's where I'm kind of going back to things I've learned in the past myself, which is more of a chiaroscuro style, which is really drawing the shadows, and that gets you the shapes, and it works. You know, it's a method that works. Um, yeah, this thing. I want to order one because then you can light it from different angles and really practice, like practically practice the shapes of the head. It's very useful. I'm gonna have my kids do that too. Okay, I'm gonna hurry up with this hair because I don't want to get so caught up in the detail and start doing little tiny strands. Just lay this in. And I think it actually kind of goes more like this. Yeah, hard to see a little bit of that detail in there, so I'm just gonna put it in. Just keep moving forward. Yeah, I feel like I have this face is too wide this compared to the reference. So here's another trick. That's not really a trick. It's just a thing. Um, the size of this canvas, you know, the actual size of this is the same as the photo. So when I'm looking at the negative shape, for example, when I'm looking at the negative shape, now this is actually a bad example. This photo is not the complete. Let me do this. That's yeah, this photo was cutting out the top of the head. So if I'm using this photo, if I have the same size on my canvas, then I can really pay attention to this negative shape and make sure mine is the same. It's much more of again, a chiaroscuro type method where you're just looking at overall shapes. You're not worried about this constructive method, which I want to move towards the constructive method, to be honest. That's where I'm going to. But I am taking a break from all the lessons and just having some fun with this. Whoops. Let's go back to black. Okay. Angel Ganev. I have actually not heard of that person. I don't know him. Let's take a look. Who is Angel Ganev? I think I know some of the references he's using. Yeah, he's good. Angel Ganev. It's pretty good. Some of this looks like Rachel Bradley stock images. So in this case, we're going for much more realistic style compared to that. Let's go ahead and finish some of this block in here. We're going for a representative style in this case. We're not stylizing, making it more cartoony or whatever. This is a study. Make sure this arm curves outward a little bit as it goes down, gets bigger. So Koviak, so what kind of artwork do you do? Okay. Are they more stylized or more realistic? I swear I have this too high. I have that way too high, actually. All right, this is a good example of where I should have done more measuring. Um, if you look at the top of this, it's way below the wrist bone there, whatever that is called. And on mine, right, it's like right at it, so I got to lower that down. Okay, cool. Now, and I'm kind of challenging myself, so I'm trying not to use a lot of the shortcuts of like cutting and pasting and things like that, because in the end, in the long run, I want to be doing this all traditionally, um, instead of just sometimes traditionally. So I'm just doing it again. That's what I would have to do. Yeah, my image is slightly different. I'm noticing more and more, because this arm is too far over. Okay, I'm gonna worry less about that, I think, and more about just the measurements. In which case, the knuckle is gonna be out here. So it's gonna be off of the knuckle. Where do I post my arts? So I have a few different places. You can see, in the About Me section, you can see a few things, but I will show you real quick. I have a DeviantArt and I have my website. Can I just hopefully, oh, I hope I don't mess this up. Let's see. Can I add this as a new reference? How do I do this? Display capture. No, not that. Not that. Media source. Nope, can't do that. Window capture, that's what I want. Okay, let's add a window capture. And that right there. Oh, okay, yeah. So I have a DeviantArt, ckmoore. Same name. I kept my name the same. If you look me up, you'll find me. So I have some more realistic stuff like this, which is it's actually an oil painting in Rebel. So it is a digital oil painting that was a commission. This was a fantasy commission. This was done with Clip Studio Pro. I like animals, but I like fantasy stuff too. I have some portraits. This is actually a portrait of my wife. She's awesome. I love her. I have a few other things on my website here, like this is a portrait commission. So that's some of my work. How do I get rid of that? Ta-da! Yeah. If you're willing to do animals, you can get a lot of a lot of commissions. And sometimes they cry when they receive it, and it's a pretty cool thing, to be honest. Like this one, let me show you this real quick. This picture, let me add that back in. This picture here, oh, is it here? No, it's not. There's some of my really old stuff, really old things on some of this. Oh, where is this? This one here. The dog in the background had died, and they wanted a family portrait commission, of their all their dogs, and they didn't have one. So, it's like you get 20 images of this dog on the front, and like 12 of this one, and maybe 3 of this one, and they're all in horrible lighting. They're all in different positions, and somehow you have to take all this information and make a really cool, family photo, family portrait. That one was pretty cool. This one was commissioned as a gift, and that person cried. I was told I didn't get to give it to them, but I was told that they were in tears. That was pretty cool. Makes you feel like you did something good, because they had a real emotional impact. Thank you. How do you know when you're ready for a commission? Um, I think when people are asking you to do commissions. I mean, really, if you're doing your work and you're putting it out there, people are going to start asking you to do work for them. And when they do, well, then you're ready at some point. You probably won't be where you want to be yet, because I'm not. I'm going back to all the fundamentals again to get better. I'm nowhere near where I can be and where I will be in the future. but I am good enough to get commissions, and that's nice. Okay, so the challenging thing here is going to be getting this pose without making it look like she's smiling, because she is emotional, she's sad, she's depressed, and we need to convey that in this image. Yeah, well, the problem is, I agree with you. It's when you're doing a commission, um, in fact, almost every commission I've actually had, I've not been able to go there and take photos myself. And so, like the one I just showed you, that one, the animal in the back had died, right? So they couldn't go back and take a new photo. We only have whatever they gave us, and which is whatever they had on hand. Like that's all they could find. And so that's where you really get to test your skills and see uh, how well you can interpret the color and make it look like they're now all in the same lighting. Because like maybe one's outside in daylight, one's in yellow light inside the house. So like all the lighting is wrong, everything's wrong, and you have to interpret all this and put together a really cool and real and believable painting. That's where it gets challenging, which is why I want to become better and better because I want to be able to do that very well. Yeah, it would be nice though if like you could just say, "Hey, take a good photo." Just take a like if you're gonna give me photos, they have to be good. But I cannot guarantee the results. Okay, I'm gonna start putting in some shapes, which is where we're gonna see some things that are wrong, and we're gonna correct them as we go. And by shapes, I mean like the different shadow shapes. So I'm going to pick a gray and start putting in some basic shapes here. Hmm. So I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to these lines. It's still not meant to be that the finished work yet because we're gonna be laying in lots of shade. Hey Koviak, do you have any examples of your work? And do you get paid for your portrait work? Oh, I said, do you have any examples of your work? And do you get are you doing it for money right now, or are you just still learning? Okay, cool. Well, if you want to share a link to your stuff, you can. Okay. Got to start somewhere. This is one of those adjustments. So I realized the fingertip of the second finger, or whatever, comes right up to the eyebrow. Now that I'm happy with where the eyebrow's at, I'm going to adjust it. All right, let me head over to my Discord real quick. Community rules. There you go. All right, welcome to the Discord. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself and share your social stuff. So you can see I'm really just paying attention to the shadow shapes and how they relate to each other. And hopefully it'll turn into a good drawing at the end. Okay, yeah, so it looks like you're using is that a Riley method with all the construction lines with the different rhythms? Cool, man. I think I like the eyes the best. I mean, obviously, it still looks like you can do more on it as far as like it's maybe not finished. And it looks like maybe I don't have the reference in front of me, but I'm wondering if maybe some of the darks are too dark in certain areas. But I don't have the photo reference, so I don't know for sure. But that's a good study. Keep it going. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not that you were too dark in some areas, that maybe you weren't light enough in some areas. If you want, I could pull this up and just show you a couple things. Would you like that, or should I just finish doing what I'm doing? What do the fans want? What does the crowd want? I'm happy to pull that up if you'd like, but it will be live, so that's up to you. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that real quick. I'm gonna pull up Clip Studio because I'm a little bit more familiar with Clip Studio as far as being able to quickly do some things. And then, so let me just pull that up, switch this over. I'll pull those images up, and I'll show you a few things real fast. Okay, let me change what I'm doing here. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Oh my gosh, it's not the right size. Let me see if I can't make this size look right. Okay, that should look better. Yeah, you certainly have time to learn. Okay, let's expand this a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right, make sure, let me know if you can see the screen. Just want to make sure I am transmitting as I'm trying to. All right. So a couple things to look out for. So I'm now back in my program that I know. It's better this way. Okay. Um, I'm not going to focus so much as far as the overall shape of things because I think that's actually pretty good. Um, I mean, there's still things that could be done. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the overall dark and light because you got this dark. And then this is dark, right? All of this stuff is dark down here. All right, take care. You have a good one. And then this whole section, that's pretty good actually. This eye's darker. All this is pretty dark. Even the lips are pretty dark. And then all of this needs to be lighter, like all of this. Like all of this is significantly lighter. If you look at the overall values, that's the first thing that pops in my head when I looked at this was the values. The overall values are off because all of this is a pretty light shape. Obviously, I'm going pretty quick here just to kind of block things in real fast. I totally get into the mouth a little bit. Right. Some of this would look better, with the eyebrow finished. And some of that stuff. I'm sure obviously you know that. But for the most part, the outer shape overall is okay. It's just this value read. This section was too dark. Like it was just too dark. Gosh, it feels like I'm back home after being in Rebel because I'm so much more used to this. There's definitely some things you could change if you wanted to be like super realistic, but you said 90% realistic. So maybe there's some stylization you want. Um, because like you'll notice the eye, obviously the eye's a lot bigger than yours, and then maybe that's by choice. It does give a different impression to the view because in the photo his eye is much more closed and slitted, and in yours it's much more open, so it's more like surprised, or like something like that because the eye is in a different shape. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, there's something real quick. Does that make sense? Does that help at all? Hopefully that helps. Yeah, yeah. And if you did it on purpose, that's totally cool. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it definitely changes the expression a little bit. Well, you're amongst a lot of people trying to learn and that are in the Discord, so that's cool. Hopefully, the more people we have, will just get more feedback, more help, and everything. It'll be good. Okay, let's go. What is an art burnout? Probably when you need an actual break from something. You can definitely push yourself so hard and put yourself under a lot of stress where you just need a break. And it can happen in a lot of for a lot of reasons. I would say one way to avoid it is to not, um, well, a lot of different ways to avoid it. One, just take care of your health and take breaks and things like that. If you need to take a break, take a break. Just make sure to come back. Don't take a break forever. Just take a break. Make sure you're taking care of your health. Exercise, eat well, things like that. Basic things that take care of your health. Now we're gonna get rid of the center line. I don't want that. Now looking at the nose, this is above, slightly equal to the nostrils. A lot of people, I think a lot of artists can get themselves into a burnout because they're trying to get some rigorous schedule and they're just going crazy drawing like every second of the day, but they're like forcing themselves to. And other people, they can do that. They can draw every second of the day and they never get tired of it, and that's fantastic. Other people do, though, need a break, and that's where you have to just come to know yourself and what you need to do. And I think some of the things you can do to help prevent that feeling of burnout is to give yourself the chance to kind of take a break from your studies. Yeah, give yourself a free day without drawing. Um, and like even like what I'm doing right now, this is not actually part of my the studies that I'm doing. It's not. I'm just having some fun. Is what I'm doing right now. And allow yourself that, allow yourself the chance to do something fun. Do you feel like you've gone through burnout or that you're going through burnout? Or are you just concerned about it? Hey, Vincent, have you gone through burnout or are you concerned about going through burnout? Okay, that's awesome. I just think it's good to take breaks and it's good to do, other things in life, especially like how are you going to have ideas to draw if you never do anything else in life? Like it's good to take breaks. It's good to experience things so you can have experiences to draw from. Literally, literally. So Vincent, this whole time that I'm doing this, I'm checking, like even like trying to check where this nose comes down compared to where the top of this lip is. Like I'm checking everything. So if you're doing an observational study, like you're always checking this stuff and seeing if you're within the ballpark. I'm just gonna block this in. I'm not gonna leave it this dark, obviously. And am I happy with the angles? So I'm gonna come back and check the nostrils here. Am I happy with that? That one I am, and this one I don't think so. Don't think so. We'll see how long this takes, huh? I think that's better. I think that's better. Yeah, don't be precious with your drawing to where it's like I can't change anything. Don't worry about that. Change it. You have to. That's part of the process. Even even really good artists, they're always changing things. They're always like massaging it into place, you know. Especially if you're doing a digital. You do have to be a little more careful if you're, drawing in pencil, but that just means in the block-in stage, you're drawing more light and you're committing to lines. You're committing to it later on. Like I wouldn't be going this dark this early in a pencil drawing. I would be doing it much more light. The slip is bigger. Slip is big on the bottom. I'm going to bring this upper lip up a tiny bit. Yeah, I know that there's lots of little ridges in there. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to bring the overall lip up so I have room. I think it's more accurate. And then I can maybe have this bottom lip a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's what they think. I wish I would have been an expert a long time ago, man. That would have been awesome ages ago. Sadly, well, I guess it's both good and sad. It's like you have to actually put in the work, and a tablet is just another tool. Still got to put in the work. That's the good thing for me is like I put in a lot of work, so I'm at a decent stage, which means I can sell my services and sell my work. All right. So again, right now I'm not looking at gradients. I'm not like trying to do a finished painting right now. I'm trying to put in the shapes. I'm just worried about are the shapes representative of what I'm trying to draw. What is a beginner between an intermediate artist and a beginner artist? Interesting question. I mean, the obvious answer is skill, right? Skill level, not talent, skill level. I'm not a proponent of talent, even though there are some people that seem like they just get it quicker. But I would say that's just a predisposition. Maybe you have a leg up, but if you don't put in the work, talent don't mean nothing. You have to put in the work. And ultimately, that's the high level answer is just skill, right? Now, if you want to talk about specific skills, well, I would say it goes back to the fundamentals, because someone who's more experienced, I'm totally going to change the shape of this. Someone who has more grasp of the fundamentals is going to be significantly better. Yeah, I'm going to drastically change this cheek. Yeah, there's definitely people that can get it quicker, and I would say that's the talent. It's like you can just understand it a little bit faster. But I've seen, talented people do nothing with their work, and I've seen people who I thought did not have much talent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're drawing that. And then it's like they're an art director someday. It's like, wow, they really put in the work. Like they put in the work, and they got good. So I don't worry about talent. I worry about effort, because you can't do anything about a talent. Like, can you actually go back and make yourself have talent? No, you can't. So if you have it or if you don't, it doesn't matter. It matters, are you willing to put in the effort? Okay, great. Put in the effort. That's what you can actually control, and worry about what you can control. And so as far as beginner and intermediate and all that, I don't know. I've never worried about, am I an intermediate artist or whatever. It's like it's never really mattered to me to consider that, because my concern was, am I getting better? Yes, great. I can control that. I can control if I'm getting better. I can put in the hours of study. And as long as you're doing that, then you're on the right track. So all of this is going to change, I think, for the better. I'm going to very roughly just kind of adjust this, and we'll do better measurements later. I just want to have it roughly. We'll come back and fix that. Yeah, I don't think I mean, it's not like a bad thing to think about it, but I would worry more about, are you putting in the effort, because that's what determines your success. Are you putting in the work? So if you're not, who cares what anyone else thinks if you're not actually trying? Because then someone else will pass you up and become better, and they'll take the job you're trying to go for. But if you're putting in the effort, then you'll get there. And just have faith in that. This is an interesting shape to her cheek. In some ways, I feel like I should have used Clip Studio. I would be much faster, which with that, and see this develop much quicker. I swear, my dog is laying on my feet as I'm drawing this, and he is continuously going into a dream where he's like barking and like running his legs. It's so distracting. Hello, buddies. Hello, wake up. Wake up. He's chasing something. I don't know. Oh, what is that? Oh my gosh, hold on. I gotta go to Twitch and ban some stuff. This is the first. Oh my goodness. Hold on. How do I How do I ban? There you go. Oh, there's one more. Yeah, if you click that link, you're gonna become homeless probably. Okay, I think I deleted all those. Okay. Okay, Vincent, you asked how many dogs do I got? I have two dogs, and I love them. They're awesome. They love me enough, even though he's a hyperactive dog. One of them, he's laying on my feet because he just wants to be close. He's a good dog. His dog is Mason, Mr. Mason, and the other dog is Samson. And I painted a picture of Samson. That's he's cool. I like him. I like both. They're my buds. Watch this. I'll show you. I'm pretty sure I have this on my. I don't really advertise my Facebook, so I'm not a huge fan of Facebook, but I'm gonna show you one of the dogs real quick. I don't have the other dog. I don't think in the picture. Maybe I can just paste this. There's Mr. Sampson. I love him. He's such a good dog. He's smart too. Samson is a smart doggy. Well, if we want to get a sub button on Twitch, I need to have 50 people, so tell people to go subscribe. Let's save this so I don't lose this image. Do I have an Instagram account? No. Well, okay, I do. I guess. Yes, I do. I just don't really use it. Maybe I should. I don't know. I can share the account. I just not. I'm not, I'm not a fan of Instagram because I can't post on my computer and I don't like to text with my phone. And like you need to write a description and things like that. And I just I don't, I don't like to do that with my phone. Oh, but if you go to my Instagram, you can see a very quick portrait I did in Clip Studio that really captures some emotions very quickly. Like, this is where I wish I had Clip Studio because it's so quick to lay it in. I feel very comfortable just getting a quick picture in there. That dog's it's a 100-pound dog. He's a pretty good size. He's a pretty good size. And the other dog is 70 pounds, and he's the athletic one. He's awesome. So hopefully you can see that, Vincent. If you wanna follow me on Instagram, go ahead. I'll probably start posting there anyways, even if I'm not the biggest fan, because why not? I'll just got to figure out a way to do it on the computer. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Do I have a favorite sport? This is a question from YouTube. Um, right now, my favorite sport is racing, like fast cars. I love it. But I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of time to watch things like that. It's just it can suck up so much of your time and have so little. So, to your earlier question, Koviak, you were asking about planes, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm looking at the planes now, and I'm just kind of block in the overall planes of the face using value. So I'm not using lines anymore. I'm using value. I'm old, man. I'm getting old. I'm like 38. 38. I have kids. I have a wife. I have a job, and I do this on the side. I do. I don't do artwork full time, even though I do commissions and stuff. I have a day job, and I want to change that. I want this to be my full time. Yeah, 3 times older. Thanks. Thanks. Honestly, I think I should have been a professional, like full time already. I could have been, but sometimes things come up, and it's like, well, do I continue focusing on this right now, or do I go take care of this thing that has come up? And I chose to focus on my family, and I'm happy that I did. I feel like this nose is too long, to be honest, and I'm not gonna change it because I'd have to change everything. I feel like the nose is too long. Do I really want to change that? I don't think I do. I don't think I want to go back and change that. So okay, one thing that you can look at, and this is what I'm seeing right now. This is why I'm like, agonized because if I were to compare, am I? Maybe I just need to fix some small things. There's got to be something that I can adjust because I'm not that far off, am I? Maybe I am. So if one measurement you can look at is the edge of the eye to the edge of the nostril, and I feel like mine is is not the right angle. Let's see. Let's test. Oh, it's like on the same spot. Okay. Yeah, let's move this up here and let's do it on this one too. It's close. It's really close. I'm just gonna keep going. It's not precise. But it's close enough for me to keep going with it. Can delete some of these layers that I have on here for no reason. Samson. That was one of my experiments with oil because I want to get into real media painting, which is why I'm using Rebel. I'll leave that for fun. All right. Yeah, if you know anyone that might want to join in or might benefit, feel free to share the stream, either Twitch or YouTube or both, because more the merrier. So I feel like ooh, what do I think about what's going on in Ukraine? Um, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know because in the beginning it was like I saw this thing and these guys are standing up to Russia and they're like rah and they're it's like oh wow that's so heroic and they're doing this stuff. Then you find out nope that was fake news because they actually gave in. And then you find out other stuff. It's like oh wait that was fake. And then you find other stuff and oh that's fake. And it's like I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. I don't know what to think. I'm just gonna try to see what happens in the end. Like obviously I am against war. I wish we knew the absolute truth, the absolute truth. And I just think there's so much information out there. It's hard. Like uh, there's been videos of like a Ukraine jet you shooting down a Russian jet, and you find out that's from a video game, and they made it as I don't know why they made it, but it was from a video game. And then you find out like you see a Russian guy being taken from his family to go serve in the army, and it's a really sad moment. Then you find out it's from a movie. It's like, well, what the heck? What's real? What is actually happening there? I don't know if we actually know what's happening there because there's so much news and information that is fake. And I wish we knew. I really wish we knew. I'm absolutely against war. I'm absolutely against war. Oh, really? You might know more than I do then. I'm in America. I'm a world away, and so maybe you have a better idea of what's going on. I just feel like there's so much information out there that's completely false. And it becomes a situation of how do you know, like, can you even trust what's being said by any source? And I hate to say that because, well, it just sucks. It sucks. Have you actually seen any of the effects of it then? Because you're close. Okay. So you've actually seen people trying to escape Ukraine. Oof. Wow. That's tough. Yeah, I'm not a fan of war. I'm not a fan of hurting people, frankly. Although I'm more than willing to defend my family. I'm more than willing to, but that doesn't mean I want to have to. You know what I mean? I think anyone who has a family should be willing to defend that family. I think it's a God-given responsibility of someone who has a family, but that doesn't mean we should want to have to. Romania, okay. I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with Romania. We have another guy watching who's from Indonesia. He's watching on YouTube. So we have people around the world. It's awesome. Okay, we have a question on YouTube. Vincent, do you have to be local at your area to work at a company? There's no false news at CNN. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. If you believe it. But if you do a little bit of research, you'll find there's a lot of fake news from them. Lots and lots of fake news. Crazy how much fake news. Okay, so going back, Vincent, you had a question. Do you have to be local to work at a company? That depends. That depends on what you want to do. That really depends. I know for me, what I'm trying to do is more like, well, one thing I'm trying to do is like freelance artwork and things like that, where I'm doing like freelance illustrations. And the answer to that is absolutely, positively no. You don't have to live in a certain place. Live anywhere, anywhere you want. It's fine. But if you want to work in movies, it's much more likely that you'll have to work close by. Maybe in the same, like maybe you will have to actually go into an office and work if that's the kind of place that you want to work at. It just depends on what your goals are. If you want to be a freelance artist, you can kind of work anywhere. Again, depending on exactly where you want to work. Like you can certainly turn down work if it's in a place you don't want to live. And you can. There's certainly enough work out there that you can find it. People do make it happen. Um, People absolutely make it happen. If you want to do your own thing, yeah, you can definitely live anywhere. And I'm pretty sure, like I know you like comics. I'm pretty sure David Finch lives in Canada, right? Like he doesn't have to go, and he works at Marvel and stuff like that. Like he doesn't have to go move to where they're at, so you can kind of do anywhere. Does that answer your question? I'm gonna fix this eye. I think I have it too. I had that too high a little bit. Let's go ahead and adjust this. Me too. I would be shocked these days, especially in comic books, if you had to go to a certain location to work. I think they're more concerned about, especially with like after all this COVID stuff and all these lockdowns and all this stuff. I'd be really shocked. Oh, no worries, Kovac. Yet there's no worries with that. No worries. You're good. Just trying to shape out this eye. One thing you can do to help avoid burnout is just taking time to do something that's just fun. That's in a way, I'm doing that right now. So I'll be honest, I didn't really want to stream, but I'm like, well, maybe I can stream something that is just kind of simple and kind of fun. Like, okay, now I'm having a good time. Let me get past that little block. And I'm not trying to do a rushed, like a really fast study because they have their purpose and their place. Um, I'm just kind of taking my time, having a good time. Honestly, I'm excited to start blending all this together because I want to start seeing this come together. When I go do real paintings with, well, like, I mean, this is a painting too, but like a real media painting. Um, the ability to color pick has like, I wish I could just like so quickly change my colors. I wish. Man, there's so many cool shapes in here. One of the things you have to do is simplify, right? Otherwise, you could go forever and make a hyper realistic thing, which is not my intent. I don't want to do hyper realistic. I just want to do believable. Believable is good. Koviak, if I was using Clip Studio, I would be so much farther ahead than this. It's just ridiculous how slow I'm going. Um, like I did this portrait, I don't know, maybe a total of an hour. Let me show you. Like this was like an hour little study in Clip Studio. This is a screenshot of it, so it's not like an exact. Um, it's not the full size, but it's pretty quick. I'm much more practiced in how to use the tool in Clip Studio. All right, we have a question. How do you make a gradient that is really smooth with a hard brush? Because I'm having a hard time doing that. Vincent, are you using opacity and things like that. I don't know if I can do that. How do I do that with Clip Studio? I always blend. Um, can I do that with a marker? Let me see. See, with this, if I want to make a nice little gradient, Vincent, um, this is weird. This is it's acting as a marker, so it's like you can slowly add to it and kind of make some gradients. But you could do a little bit of blending. You just don't want to make it like perfectly smooth, you know? You don't want to make it perfectly smooth. Like even this, like this is becoming more blended out, but it's not like a perfectly smooth artificial thing. There's more life to it. Because if you want to do a perfectly artificial thing, you do like the gradient tool in Photoshop, which is not good. I would add pressure to your settings. Like Koviak says he uses pressure. I would do that too. Right. So this is the just in this program I'm using the pencil tool, right? And you can use pressure, literally pressure, and just go lighter and softer. And then there's no actual blending with what I'm doing right now. I'm just using pressure. Right? So you can get some gradients that way. Yeah, I don't know how long I'm gonna finish this. I'm having some fun. My wife might tell me that we have to go. I'll probably stop at a decent place and maybe finish this next time, anyways, because me and my wife will go get some food or do something. No, let's. I'm gonna do something. I have. I have a lot of things open on my computer. I'm gonna see if I can't just like decrease this a little bit. So it'll make it respond faster. Rebel has a really cool ability to increase image size, which is awesome. It's also a demanding program because it's doing real media. Like the way it blends colors and the way it blends things is just, oh, it's mind blowing cool. Like Koviak, have you seen the watercolor in Rebel? It's amazing. Just imagine this kind of. I'm gonna do something. I like to show this off because I think it's so cool. Like if you have different stuff, let's add some water to this. Lots of water. And this is a real media simulator. It's so cool. And so everything this does when I'm doing oil, it's actually thick oil that it's putting down. And if you zoom in, you'll see the texture and it'll be mixing like oil. It's really cool. And I'm using an oil brush for the who use it. A whole bunch of people use it. If you do a Google search for Rebel 5 paintings, You'll see stuff that looks like real paintings, and it's amazing. So yeah, people use it. You just got to know how to use it. I'm obviously doing something like a crazy demonstration, but if you know how to use it, like real watercolor, it behaves like real watercolor. I used it when I did that one of the paintings of the dogs that I showed you. And if you zoom in on like the real painting, you zoom in on it, you can see a lot of the texture. It's really cool. This is on my. I'm gonna close some of these. Close some of this stuff. Like this one. Um, you can see the brushstrokes. You can see I don't have a lot of thickness to it, but this is a. It looks better on the full size one, but you can see, especially in the background here, you can see some of the thickness of the paint and how it's blending in. It's really cool. He's looking in your soul. I think there's a place for a lot of different kinds of work. It just depends on what you want to do and how well can you do it. I'm going to start playing with the big shapes now. I want to block in all this, start to frame this picture a little bit. Now this knuckle on this hand kind of lines up a little bit with this mouth, so that's about right. Just checking that. And if I remember this should come in a little bit more, I think. And this hand is gonna, I kind of chopped off part of this face a little bit, and so this hand is actually needs to come in down a little bit more. Did you say that you're in Transylvania? Is that where you said you were? I am totally unfamiliar with where that is, to be honest. Cool. I truly, truly have no idea what that place is like. Vampires, yes. I'm sure that's the stereotype, right? What do people think about those stories? Do they believe him? Do they get tired of him? Like, what's their reaction? Just laying in all just getting all this in, and we'll start adjusting it. Oh no, what is that? Oh, how do I cancel the rotation? There you go. I wonder if everyone does. I wonder. My dog just finally woke up. He's like, Where am I? What am I doing? Why am I under a desk?" No, I've heard other people, not from there obviously, but other people have their own, folk tales, and they believe them. Like, not everyone thinks they're just fake stories. They think they're real. And what I was hearing, they were saying like kids go missing if they leave the window open, but they think that creatures from the forest, get the kids. And I swear they believe they're real stories. That's what they believe. I can't attest to anything, but all I can say is what I heard. And the fact that they believe it's real, that's interesting. It's almost looking like like a posterized filter in Photoshop. It's almost looking like posterized because nothing's really blended yet. So, Vincent, at this point, I mean, a lot of the measurement was already done when we were constantly adjusting everything. And really, we still can be adjusting things. Is there a news source in America that I trust? Oh my goodness. that's a that's a big question. Um, I trust people like I trust some of the alternative media stuff because I think there's just honest people trying to do their work. That doesn't mean they're always right, but they're actually trying their best. And I think that matters because a lot of the mainstream media is not. They're trying to do what sells, and they're following a political agenda. And there's evidence of that. So it's like, um, but with everything, it's best to try to get actual, facts to back it up. Everything, like you get facts to back it up because even people meaning well can get things vastly wrong. So some of the places I do try to follow, I try to follow a guy named Glenn Beck because even if he's not right always, I think he's pretty darn good. I think he has good info about what's going on in the world, about who's behind it, about everything. And he's honest. And he makes mistakes and he's honest and he'll correct it and so on. But that's more than you can say about the mainstream media. So I'm a huge fan of that. And I kind of like to follow a guy named Crowder because he's funny. And he does do news, but he's more of a comedian. But the news is actually real. He has real news mixed with a lot of comedy. And otherwise, surprisingly, you can find stuff on social media as long as you as long as you fact check, as in like, is this actual real information? For example, people were sharing stuff about things happening in Ukraine that were like demonstrably false. That came out like afterward, came out false. People were just sharing it. And it's like, well, just because they share it, you can't take that as fact. But there is a lot of true things that are shared. So you just got to be careful and do your research and think for yourself. And sometimes it's honestly hard to try to want to put the time into just figuring all that out. There's so many things going on in the world today. But okay, so you oh, we just had 100 messages go through restream chat. That's interesting. Uh, Vincent, you're from Indonesia, right? So my wife is from the Philippines, and I know when she moved to America, it was like a wake up call. I was like, what is going on? Um, and she did her own research on her own, and like, thank God we have the same values because we ended up coming to the same conclusions. But she's willing to, look for truth. And just like, well, what is actually true? What's actually provable? Um, and so we ended up on the same page on everything, which is so nice. But now she's trying to educate her family in the Philippines, and they just don't understand because they think the mainstream is totally correct in everything, and they don't understand how it's just not. It's just not. It's just not. So it can be frustrating though for her because she can see it clearly. So one of my plans with this program, I want to take like an actual class on oil painting, but use this program to do it to see like how realistic is it to use like a real media process, like a real just straight up oil painting class, and use that in this. I think that'd be very interesting. This picture is gonna come to life when we get the eyes done. Yeah. Am I drawing too slow for you? That's what happens when we talk. But all right, you have a good night. Hope to see you again. Yeah, this is just a relaxing stream, to be honest. Until I decide to take my wife out for something. Right now, I'm just worried about values. I want to get the values about right, and then I'll start blending things in and kind of bringing this to a nice finish. So might actually go faster than what Koviak expects. Because the hard part, I think, like unless you want to do hyper realism, which that's not what we're trying to do, because then you can go forever on that. But we're not going to do that. But a lot of the measurements that took place, and that takes some time to try to figure that out. And besides that, we took some time to look at to do a super quick paint over and some other stuff that we did. So it should go faster. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. Although we have been going for a while, I'll be honest. That's for sure. And I'm doing all of this on one layer because that's what you would have to do in real media. Do I love history? I do. I can't quote a lot of history, but I do find it interesting. What about you? Is there a time period you like? What's your favorite time period? I used to really love kind of like medieval stuff because I grew up drawing like dragons and knights and and things like that. But I also like World War II quite a bit. I think it's really fascinating. So right now I am blending things together. I'm just kind of making a background. Yeah, World War II is awesome. There are people today that are denying the Holocaust happened. Isn't that crazy? I just ran into one like last night. They were saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, no. Like we actually, um, people I know and I trust have talked to people that were in the camps. Like they've actually talked to people firsthand that were in the camps. It happened. It's a horrible, horrible thing. So one thing you'll notice here, I'm not like I'm trying to blend things out, but I'm not trying to make it like perfectly smooth because we could get a really soft brush and blend it all perfect, but I really don't want to do that. It's not it's not the goal. And texture adds a lot of interest. So the question is, how do you do the texture well? And that's something we're working on. Yeah, seriously, they very very seriously did. And this is where there's a lot of, I guess, alternative media that can be very bad. And so you got to find good source of information. That's why I say I like Glenn Beck because I think he's pretty down to earth, but also very honest. And he doesn't just follow what the mainstream does just because the mainstream are doing it. And I think that's important. But then there's a lot of people out there that just spread bad information. Maybe because people just like to be different. I don't know. Everyone wants to have like, oh, I found this new info, and sometimes it's just bad info. I don't want all of these shadings to go the exact same direction. I want to change it up because you can see some of the brush strokes essentially. I want it to vary. All right. Now, when you draw the hair, you don't want it to be just a hard line. And you'll notice on the photo, you see the little tiny strands of hair, and that makes like a gradient. It makes a little fuzzy portion between the hairline or on the hairline. And so you represent that when you're drawing it. Okay, so what's your favorite thing about World War II? Uh, we can always come back and add more detail later. So I'm trying to get the overall values and things correct. Like if you wanted to add little strands of hair or whatever, you can do that. But I'm going to do that later if I do it. Yeah, tanks are awesome. Yeah, I have. I wish I could remember all the details, but I have audiobooks on World War II, and it's just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. Like Germany started their their war machine doing stuff with a false flag. They attacked their own people and blamed it on the enemy. It's crazy. Crazy but true. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff if you keep looking into it. And I'm not saying these are true. It's interesting. There's information out there. I don't believe this one is true. Like some people think Hitler actually escaped to like Africa or something. That's crazy. Like they say that the dead body they found wasn't actually him. Like there's so much stuff out there. If ever you're curious to look into all the different things, but even without that, it is a fascinating study to learn about World War II and all the things that happened, the technology that they made, the heroism. Yeah, that's the official stance is that he committed suicide. And then again, just like there's some people that believe there was no Holocaust, that it was all fake. Some people believe that he killed someone else, or maybe like a body double died and he escaped. There's lots of theories out there, and the hard thing is, it's like the victor writes the history, and so it's hard to just like all the stuff with Ukraine, all these news articles coming out, and then it's like, whoops, that was fake. Whoops, that was fake. It's like it's I think it takes a lot of work to really decipher, yeah, to really go through everything and make sure you're reading like real truth. And hopefully they figure that out. Hopefully the documentaries that we have are truly accurate. Oh man, I'm struggling with the program a little bit, but we're gonna keep going. Just struggling because I'm not as familiar with it. Oh, that's cool. A 4 hour documentary of World War II. One thing I like to watch are like the histories of like old dogfights with jets and stuff. That stuff is just crazy cool. And to hear it from the actual pilots and hear their explanations of what happened and stuff, I find that absolutely fascinating. Oh, Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah, isn't that an awesome movie? I love that. That's intense, man. I saw that, I don't know, within the last year I saw that. It's pretty recent. Um, that's a super intense movie. My wife made me watch it. Let's go to YouTube and delete the spammer. Yeah, that movie is it's super inspirational. I think it's awesome that he made a promise to God, right, not to touch a weapon. I don't believe in pacifism. I just don't believe in. I don't think war is good. But he made a promise to God and he stuck with it. And that is awesome. If you make a promise to God, you darn well better keep it. The little hair, um, you would just take little. I mean, you could. Well, okay. One, when you're doing like big hair, like say this hair on top of her head, you wouldn't draw, the whole thing as individual strands. That's crazy. You don't do it. Don't do it. But you can indicate like this, like indicate a few, and doing that will help indicate. Well, it'll give your mind something to latch onto, and then it will make the rest of it naturally. It'll do that on its own. So whatever you do, don't try to sit there and draw every hair. In fact, when I drew this hair on her, I drew as a big black mass. It's like, and then if it wasn't so dark, you would draw it in a few different clumps, different shapes, and then you just indicate a little bit, and it will begin to look believable and real. In fact, it'll look more real than if you actually detailed the whole thing out. And then what you can do to really add a lot to it, um, you can see on the photograph on the top here, there's little tiny bits of hair that's just like strands. And I'm going to get a lighter brush here. I want it to be just darker than the background. And so you can go back here and just kind of indicate some small hairs. And even though you didn't really draw many hairs, overall, it will still give the impression that you did. This would apply to fur and dogs and stuff too. You don't draw like every hair, you draw the overall shapes, then you can add some detail to make it look like hair. That makes a big difference. Just that little bit, that's a big difference. I'm gonna darken this hair a little bit with just a little bit. Is that too much? That's too much. I want to darken this, but not a lot. I don't want all of these strands to be exactly the same. Like these highlights should still be, affected by shadow. There you go. Like there's still volumes that they're going over as they come towards the light. And then maybe we can do a small, tiny highlight here, a little bit brighter on just some of these. Okay, that's the hair so far. We can still add more hairs. Like there's some hairs that would cross over the fingers. There's hairs that would cross over the brow, the forehead, and things like that. But I don't know if I'm finished painting that yet, and so I'm just going to wait on that. We'll come back to that. Man, I'm just not used to putting down solid color as I'm used to blending it with pressure so much. I'm so used to it. That's what I'm struggling with. Like I want to just do a little bit more pressure to make it look how I want it to look. Does that answer your question? And slowly the picture starts to come together. I get a great sense of joy in watching the piece like finally start to come together. You get past the ugly stage and you get into the stage where things just start to look right. I love that. We're still just trying to block in this information best we can. There's lots of little forms to indicate. Uh, how do you know how much study you have to do? Um, my advice on that kind of, well, okay, are you asking about a specific topic or just in general? You know, like how do you know when you've mastered a topic versus, how do you know when when you've done studying, like for the day or something? I would say if you, if you're putting your heart into the study, then, keep doing that. And then as you go, like at least one technique would be as you go and you continue to learn more. Um, why? Oh, what happened? As you go through your studies, you'll find things where it's like, okay, I've learned this a little bit, and maybe it's enough for you to move on, but you'll have to come back to it later. And that's fine. That's very fine. You'll have to keep doing that. Um, and so you always look for what's the thing I need to learn the most right now, and that changes over time. Or you can put yourself through a hardcore study where it's like you don't get to choose. You just go through everything. Um, in a way, I'm kind of doing a mixture of both because I try to set up a program to where I'm learning kind of what I need to in the right order because one topic builds upon another. But if I'm doing like a painting or something and I'm not happy with the results, I may have to go learn something specific in order to finish that painting. And so I'll figure out what is it that I'm doing wrong. I'll try to learn that one thing and then finish the painting. So like as you go, you're learning and you're identifying what you need to be learning. I may end up pulling this into an Eclipse Studio eventually here. There's my dog. think he's had enough of me painting. Dad, can we go? So if you're trying to become a full-time artist, a professional artist, ultimately you're learning the rest of your life. You're always learning. So there's never a point where it's like, I've learned everything. I don't need to learn anything else. I'm done. That doesn't happen. So that's where it's healthy to be thinking about what do I need to learn to improve the most right now. That's where that's useful. Yeah, the next painting I'm going to do like this, I'm going to do in Clip Studio for fun. I bet it goes 10 times faster. But I really want to, I really want to learn what they call alla prima, which means you're painting right to the end result, like real quick. And it's useful if you want to do like real painting. I want to learn that. Oh, that was my dog. Oh. Okay, the dog's acting up. I think it is time to end this. It's been 3 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something, maybe had some questions answered and so on, have some fun. And next time, I think we're going to try this in Clip Studio to see how different it looks and how different the process looks because I'll go faster in that. All right, guys. So with that, if you like it, please share, like, subscribe, um, all that wonderful stuff. Leave comments below if you have any questions or comments or what you think of the process, or if you've worked with Rebel, and you have any tips on Rebel, or if you have any thoughts between Rebel versus Clip Studio, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So drop that below in the comments. And otherwise, take care and God bless.